Welcome to the Target Center for the State Class 4A Boys Basketball Tournament, our third quarterfinal game as the Andover Huskies, the Cinderella team, here to take on the number 2 Maple Grove Crimson. Hi, I'm Jay Wilcox along with Ryan Iverson. And local teams winning 2 close games to start the tournament here. Maple Grove hoping to make it 3 for 3, but they're hoping to have it be not quite as close.
Yeah, the first 2 games were terrific, and we hope this is a terrific game. 2 teams, both from the same conference, played each other during the year, know each other, familiar with each other. A lot of times you throw that right out of the window, Jay. It's state tournament, anything can happen. You're playing at the Target Center, it's a little different arena, getting used to that crowd, the energy. And again, like we talk about in section playoff finals, whoever can handle the nerves, come out and just run their plays, execute, and get off to a good start. A lot of times the teams that end up winning the game.
And Maple Grove was here in this tournament a year ago. They lost in the first round to Lakeville North, but they do feel like having that experience helps them to not be quite as nervous, to make it be just another basketball game a little bit more.
Absolutely. You always draw upon, experiences that you've had. So if you've had in the previous year playing in the Target Center, getting used to just busing down here, all the hype that goes along with being in the state tournament at school from your friends, your teachers, your families. Like I said, getting down here, being used to that experience is a big plus for Maple Grove, and it helps that they have a couple of the best players in the state of Minnesota too.
For Andover, no doubt about it, a surprise team to be here. The number 7 seed in Section 7. They were second to last in the North Division of the Northwest Suburban, but they had an awful lot of close games during the year. They've played a ton of good teams, and they've just kind of gelled here at the right time.
Well, it's about playing your best basketball at the end of the year, and we talk a lot on our broadcast how good the basketball is in the areas that we cover. Andover being a part of that conference, and they lost 7 games of 5 points or less, so they were in a lot of good games. They played against Maple Grove. They played a tough schedule. And again, it's all about, you'll take a loss during the season if it gets you ready for big moments. And then going through their section, they felt like they were the best team, even though they were seeded 7th. They've played and competed against some of the best teams in the state. So I think they're here. I think they expect to be here. I think they deserve to be here. And I think they can win this game.
Let's talk about key players to look at in this afternoon's contest, starting with the visiting Huskies, and a relatively easy choice for them. Logan Rizak's had a great year and a great career.
Well, he's phenomenal, and really he's their leading scorer. They don't score a lot. That's one of the keys to today's game. They average in the 50s. They need to score to keep up with Maple Grove. Logan's going to have to put up a big number. I don't know if they have another player that's capable of putting that big number up. They're going to have to be in the 60s and the 70s. We know Maple Grove can score. So if Logan's able to get off early, he's a great shooter. We've seen some shooters struggle shooting the ball here at the Target Center. So I think this pregame warm-up is really interesting. I always watch shooters to see how they're hitting, if they're getting used to the different settings. But they go as he goes. So I think he's got to come out, he's got to be aggressive, want the ball, shoot the ball a lot. And if he's on fire and getting some easy baskets, that's going to give the rest of his team confidence.
For Maple Grove, they've really got 2 big stars. Obviously, we know about Brad Davison, but also Tywan Pickford has had a great year, and he did not get to play in this tournament last year. He was injured. He wants to come out and show what kind of player he is, and he didn't have a great game in the Section 8 final.
I think he is maybe the most important player in the whole state tournament. I don't mean the best player or most valuable player, but they are, if Brad Davison, you know what you're going to get from him almost every game. Maple Grove's a very good team, but if Tywan Pickford plays great, they become a team that can win the state tournament. He's so long and athletic. He brings that other dimension that most teams don't have. And he struggled in the section finals game against Rogers, and they were lucky to win that game. But if he comes out and he attacks and asserts his athleticism and physicality, Maple Grove not only is the 2 seed, but they might actually be the 1 seed. They could beat anyone at any time.
Andover looking to slow this one down a little bit. Maple Grove would like to create some turnovers, get up and down the floor a little more, and make it a faster game. It's the Huskies and the Crimson in a matchup of Northwest Suburban Conference teams here in the state quarterfinals. We'll tip off in a moment on CCX Sports.
Is it knowing what's happening in your neighborhood? Or when people know your name? Connections make us a community. For more than 30 years, Northwest Community Television has connected citizens, neighbors, even sports fans through video. As life gets busier than ever, we will still offer you a connected community experience through CCX Media, so you can stay connected to the place you call home.
Welcome back here to the Target Center, under renovation, but still ready to go here for state tournament basketball. And the Wolves, obviously, as the Andover Huskies and Maple Grove Crimson get set to battle. They played right at the end of the regular season. Maple Grove did end up winning by 25. Sounded as though it were a game that kind of got away from Andover in a hurry. They were right there with the Crimson early second half, but had a stretch of bad possessions that resulted in turnovers, and pretty soon it was a kind of a blowout. Here's the lineup for Matt Ani and the Huskies today. Andy Krebner, Jacob Paul, Logan Rizak, Connor Kniffley, and Austin Schumacher. Starters for the Huskies, 3 seniors and a couple of juniors. It's an all-senior rotation for Nick Schroeder and the Crimson. Ryan Bredensteiner, Bubba Horton at the forwards, Jack Hutchison, Taiwan Pickford, and Brad Davison in the backcourt for Maple Grove, champion of Section 8, and as we said, number 2 seed for this tournament. But earlier in the day, we saw number 1 seed Champlain Park have to really scrap to win at the buzzer against a Chaska team that was unseeded. So you take nothing for granted when you get to this tournament.
Well, and just it's a continuation of the sections. It's a one-game season, and one-game seasons, anything can happen. And that's why you can't take possessions off, you can't take plays off. And what I'm really interested, what I thought was a key to Maple Grove beating Rogers in that section final game that we did, Jay, was Jack Hutchison came out, he had 5 threes. He shot the ball extremely well. And I'll be anxious to see how that translates here at the Target Center, because Taiwan Pickford obviously is going to get his, Brad Davison's going to get his, and I think they need Jack Hutchison to shoot threes. Bubba Horton hit a couple of nice shots, big shots in that game as well. So how are the supporting players for Maple Grove going to come out tonight? I think it's something to watch from the beginning of the game.
Andover, 5th state tournament appearance, same with Maple Grove. Both of these schools, relatively new schools to the scene. And Maple Grove was built, I believe, about 5 years before Andover, and became the next school in the Osseo School District, and then obviously Andover added as the 5th school in the Anoka-Hennepin School District as well. So they've been facing a lot of the same teams throughout the year too. As you can look at Mark Ani, the Huskies head coach, and he said, our plan is to get good possessions, good shots on each possession, try and stay in this one for a long time, maybe make Maple Grove, start to worry a little bit is what they're hoping for to start.
And the other thing too, when you make a defense work, and we saw Maple Grove was plagued in foul trouble against Rogers. Ryan Bredensteiner had foul trouble, Bubba Horton had foul trouble, and obviously if you can get Brad Davison in foul trouble, Maple Grove's a different team. So that's a smart strategy. They got to play within themselves, take time off the clock, and try to limit the possessions that Maple Grove gets.
Jacob Paul, Taiwan Pickford jump it up. Crimson control it. We are underway here in our 3rd quarter final. Davison to Bredensteiner here for Maple Grove. Both teams expect to play mostly man-to-man here tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, into Pickford. Hutchison a shot fake, but they get out to him. Pickford driving it to the baseline. Layup is good.
Well, that's his game right there. A nice shot fake. I'd let him shoot from the outside if I had a choice, because you can see when he gets to the rim, he's well above it. Most other players are below it, and he's a great finisher.
Back out top here, the Huskies will reset it here. Here's Rizak. You see, they really spread things out and play out top and try and get you out of position.
Well, at any level, Jay, especially at high school, it's hard. There's a turnover. Those are exactly the kind of possessions you can have. You take time off the clock, you got to get a good shot. But it's hard to play defense for an extended period of time. You see it in college and the NBA. Teams get lazy, they lapse. And Maple Grove on that first possession was very alert, switching screens, nothing easy.
Davison traveled as he stumbled trying to go to the hoop. I think the fact that the teams have seen each other in the regular season too, you know the other's tendencies a little bit more than some state tournament matchups.
Yeah, there's a look. It looked like he just lost his footing there, and you can see right there, he looked like he bumped knees on him. That could hurt a lot. See Brad smarting a little bit from that. Nothing serious, but it does hurt a little bit when you bump knees.
Back cut here, but Pickford was ready and got his hand on that and gets the steal. Cross to Davison, he swings it to Hutchison and right back to Brad Davison. Pickford to the top, fires and knocks down a three. Well, it looks like our question's been answered of how he would play to start the game anyway.
Well, I like that they're getting him the shots early, trying to get him going. Like we said, he's struggled against Rogers, and so far 2 nice drives. And when he's making that perimeter shot, Jay, he's really unguardable because you got to come out there, and then he can blow by you with his quickness and his length.
Answering with the three is Grubner for Andover, the lefty, able to bury it. Huskies are on the board for the first time.
Well, and he came into this game, Jay, with 3 made three-pointers on the year, so he's not a big-time three-point shooter, but at that time, pure confidence, looked good.
Pickford, a little step-back baseline jumper, and he's looking confident. All 7 points for the Crimson.
Well, I think you got to be encouraged, too. 2 of them are jump shots. So the answer is whether they'd adjust to shooting the ball here. It's just, at least Tywan Pickford has answered that.
Maple Grove really switching a lot. So I asked Coach Schroeder, who do you have on Rezak? And he said, well, it'll be a lot of different people. The drive finished there, Jacob Paul, no call either way there on the block charge situation.
Well, good finish. You saw Bubba Horton try to step in and take that charge. I think he was just a little too far under the basket that time.
And I'm okay with that. Yep. Not every time when there's guys on the floor, it has to be one or the other, I don't think.
No.
Pickford going to launch another one left side. That one's in and out, and rebound grabbed there by Knifley.
The other thing too, Jay, when you play a team you've played before in the state tournament, there's less of the intimidating and awe factor, right? Like when you're playing a team you've read about, you've seen, but you've never seen them up close and in person, sometimes you have a tendency to maybe over-respect them. And I think Andover, like you said, having played against Maple Grove before, I think takes some of that awe out of it, and they can just play basketball.
Like back in the Eden Prairie days when people said, how are we possibly going to stop this Iverson team?
Yeah, that was on everyone's mind.
Ahead to Bredensteiner, and he is fouled there. Austin Schumacher maybe taking a foul he didn't need to there because there wasn't a lot of space to get a shot up there, but he committed an obvious foul there. There's Nick Schroeder, 7th year and 3rd time that he's taken the Crimson to the state tournament. We said 5th time overall. Kurt Moss and Ron Zopfi also bringing the Crimson as head coaches as Bredensteiner hits the free throw. Well,
one thing I do like about what Maple Grove is doing is we haven't seen Brad Davison take a shot yet. You can see that it's almost a concerted effort to get some of these other guys going. Pickford obviously having a hot start, and there's a lane violation on Andover. Bredensteiner getting to the free throw line. I think that is a great thing for Maple Grove because I think so much focus is watching Brad and trying to take him away. And if he can get other guys going, it's going to open things up for him as the game goes on.
Bredensteiner gets another crack out of it because of the lane violation, and so they take advantage and take a 9-5 lead.
And what people don't remember is games that come down to the last play of the game, and that's a point right there that it was a missed free throw. I mean, just little mistakes like that can add up. And at the end of the game, when you're down 2 or 3, I mean, they add up. And so you just got to eliminate those types of plays, especially when you're an underdog playing in the state tournament.
Jacob Paul with it out high. Haven't seen Rezak be able to get a shot up yet here, and they doubled up him as he got to the lane.
We can see a concerted effort. As soon as Rezak gets it, looks to drive. There's 2 or 3 black jerseys waiting for him.
A little bit of a mismatch here as Hutchison switched on to the bigger player Rezak, but he's unable to get it to drop. Pickford, crossover and pull up, won't go, and Rezak boards it.
Oh, nice move. That's his second jumper that looked good, just rimmed inside out. But you can see Pickford definitely being aggressive, looking to score the basketball early.
Knifley puts it on the deck, driving it at Bredensteiner, and the layup's good.
Well, Knifley, that's huge. He's their, one of their leading scorers, their second leading scorer, just under 9 points per game. And if they're going to have that kind of spacing, you got to be able to take advantage, beat your man one-on-one, able to finish. Excellent move.
Hand off to Horton. Oh, he had a layup, but passed it up, and Rezak gets the steal. Rezak fouled by Davison. Just a close one there as he tried to take that charge.
I thought he got there. It looked like he guessed. Watch him. The last time he gets there. Oh, that's a tough one. You can see either way.
Mason Heath and Jake Mullett will come into the game here for the Huskies.
Zion Allen checking in for Maple Grove. He had a nice impactful game against Rogers to get to the state tournament.
Yeah, after Horton got those 2 early fouls, Zion Allen did a real nice job, 6 points in that game. And an illegal screen call. They're trying to free up Rizak up top, and I believe it is on Heath, as he never really set the feet. He just kept sliding along with the defender, and it happened to be right in front of the official as well.
And those are the kind of fouls as a head coach you can live with. You know, you're making a selfless play, trying to get your guy open. You know, a little extra move. Obviously, you don't want to foul, but if you're gonna, those are effort plays.
Davison pops a 3, and it's good. Hadn't taken a shot yet, but calmly knocks down a long one.
Well, I think the key word, calmly. He plays at such a good pace. We saw McKinley Wright earlier today dominate his game. They play at such a nice pace. And Brad's jump shot, he's got such nice arc on it. His three-point shot, I think, is greatly improved over his years at Maple Grove. And when he's hitting that shot, he becomes a really dangerous player because he's so good at driving to the basket.
And I suspect as a college player, he's probably going to be more of a jump shooter than, you know, getting into the lane in the Big Ten's a whole different world than here in the Class 4A high school ball. Layup is good. Nice back cut by Knipfli, and he gets the layup.
Well, and Brad was guarding him that time and turned his back. That's what you got to do against Maple Grove. If they're not paying attention, you got to start looking for those back doors to get easy buckets.
Over to Bredensteiner. Pull-up is good, and a foul. Nice find by Davison. We could see it at a great angle to see that play develop, and Bredensteiner got hit as well, and it'll be on Heath.
Yeah, beautiful bounce pass. Nice move here by Bredensteiner. And, you know, he's a very underrated athletically wise. I mean, he's tall, 6'5", and he can jump, and he's tough. Doesn't score a whole lot, but off to a nice start here for Maple Grove. And again, you see Pickford with a couple of baskets, Bredensteiner with some points. And it's just when they're balanced, I think they're really hard to defend. When these other kids are hitting shots and looking for the shots, not even necessarily making them, but just being aggressive, I think it opens up their offense.
So a 6-point lead here for the Crimson as Andover hits the front court. Rizak. Bredensteiner jumped out at him. Rizak keeps the dribble alive. Nice up and under, and he scores. There you can see why he's scored nearly 25 a game this year.
Well, he's such a good shooter. He just shows the ball, and I think it was Bredensteiner that went for it, and he stepped right through. Beautiful offensive move.
Back out to Davison. Rizak getting the assignment on him. Bredensteiner into Pickford. There was a lot of traffic. It's tipped out to Hutchison, and now Taiwan Pickford on the wing. Davison attacking, goes to Hutchison from the baseline, no good. And the Huskies get to the rebound as Grubner leads the mini break here. Takes it at Allen, and let's see, blocking foul on Zion Allen.
Yeah, I disagree with that one. You could see that time he put his head down and dug his shoulder in. Yeah, that should have been going the other way. I thought that was good positioning by Allen. Getting there, second questionable block that's gone against Maple Grove.
Gare Iwafada, number 2, checks into the Crimson lineup here.
And Iwafada is really a nice player, athletic player. They're going to need him at some point in this tournament if they're going to keep advancing, to give them some good minutes, just from a defensive standpoint and an athleticism standpoint of guarding some of these great players that are in this tournament.
Still remember that the first practice of the year, or one of the first week anyway, I was watching, and you see Taiwan Pickford go up and dunk, and you think, that was pretty good. And then Iwafada, who's about 3 inches shorter, got up much higher than Pickford even. Layup inside is good there for Jacob Paul, his second field goal, and the Huskies have battled back to within a couple.
Jay, do you remember the missed dunk that Pickford had against Rogers? I was telling people about it. Might have been the most impressive missed shot I've ever seen.
Bredensteiner unable to get it to drop. Andover looking for the tie, and this time an offensive foul. Davison jumped in. Rizak didn't argue that one. He knew that Davison had outguessed him. They both went looking the same way. You can see the respect between them.
Yeah, you love to see that sportsmanship too, but that's a gutsy play by Brad, to take that, because if he doesn't get that call, that's 2 quick fouls on him with plenty of time left in the first half, but it paid off. You almost see Maple Grove, that's part of the scouting report, is a concerted effort maybe to try to take charges against these guys.
And unable to save it as Bredensteiner. Pickford thought he got fouled, but did not get the call. It'll be Huskies ball again as Hutchison comes back in. Allen out here for Maple Grove.
You know, I think this is exactly the kind of start Andover want, right? Kind of mucking it up a little bit. Maple Grove really not in a great rhythm, but nothing bad, but nothing great. Just kind of hanging around, one possession game.
Rizak gets a screen this time and buries the three.
Well, if they can get him going, that time he came off a screen. First time all game that he had no one right in his grill, able to just catch and face and able to finish. Oh, wow.
Backdoor cut there. It's tipped out to Iwafata. Davison's going to turn and let it rip. And it's good for three more.
That was right on from where we're sitting, Jay. We got a good look at that. It looked like it was off a little bit, but it rattled in. His second three-pointer of the game.
2-point lead now for the Crimson as we approach 8.5 minutes to go here in this first half from Target Center.
You know, you look at this offense, you got 5 guys all around the perimeter, just great spacing, trying to get that open paint there to be able to take one-on-one to the basket.
Knifley going up in traffic, tried to draw the foul, didn't get it. NBA range three for Pickford's in and out. Iwafata had it, but then ripped away from him by Paul.
Well, that's Pickford's third shot, Jay, that rimmed in and out like that. I think he thought all of them were going to go down. That one certainly looked like it was going to go down.
We see it year after year. It's easy to get fooled by that NBA line that you see people lining up right behind it, and you don't realize it is an extra couple of feet. It makes it a little bit tougher shot.
Absolutely. I always think the rims at NBA arenas are a little tighter too. So it's an adjustment. You got just a different type of seating and depth perception. It's not an easy place to get accustomed to shooting.
Short on the three there was Jake Mullet for Andover. Pickford keeps that dribble alive, a little pull-up jumper, and he hits.
What I love, Jay, is he missed his last couple of shots, and you see great scorers don't get distracted by that. They keep going. He got to his spot about 10 feet away, and he knows when he elevates, there's no one that's going to be able to block that. A nice ball screen here. Watch him get to this spot right there. And even though the defender couldn't be in a better position, when you're 6'6" and you can elevate like that in high school, you know you just rise up, and he knocks it down. He's staying aggressive, and it's paid off so far here for Maple Grove. Yeah,
I was going to say it was actually a pretty good read by the defender of when he was going to step hard and go up with that pull-up, but still able to make it over him. Sometimes you just kind of tip your hat to the guy and say, okay, if you can hit that.
Yeah, but that's where if Taiwan Pickford's making those shots, there might not be a better player in all of basketball. I mean, that's why I think that for college, his ceiling is really unlimited, his potential, because he hasn't been a great jump shooter in high school. He's been so athletic and able to get to the basket, rebound, dunk. But if he makes those kind of shots, he get to a spot, elevates, and makes those consistently, that's a really hard player to guard. And I know he's worked really hard on developing that jump shot, and it's showing here as he's hit 3 of them to start the game. I'll be interested to watch too. Andover called that timeout. A lot of times Coach Nick Schroeder from Maple Grove, out of a timeout, will call for a set play. A lot of times they look for that back door or an alley-oop, get Pickford a jam, maybe get this crowd going, get some of the momentum on their side.
Noah Champion, number 15, is checked in for Maple Grove, a 6'3" senior. A little different look defensively. It looks like maybe coming out of maybe not. They started out looking like they were going to possibly spring a trap at him.
But you see Maple Grove is matching up Taiwan Pickford against Rizak. And I like that matchup just because of Pickford's length. Sometimes that can really bother a shooter.
Baseline jumper wouldn't go by Grubner after the shot fake. Davison tight ropes the sideline here, keeps the dribble alive, hands it over to Noah Champion for the layup.
And giving up a good shot for a great shot. Brad could have laid that one in. Instead, he got Champion, had his hands ready, able to finish. Beautiful, unselfish play.
6-point advantage here for Maple Grove. Back across to Knifley here as the Huskies get into their pattern offense here. Inside, the pass comes and then kicked back out by Paul. Rizak on the run, and it's going to be an offensive foul. Champion took the contact.
And that's going to be 2 on Rizak, both charges. And again, you get the feeling Maple Grove, that was part of their scouting report, is if we can stand in front of these guys, keep your feet, take charges. And that's where you got to come to just go straight up, straight down, come to a jump stop. I like that Rizak's attacking the basket, but now you got to start saying, hey, they're trying to take charges. How do we adjust to that?
Yeah, difficult to get that kind of a runner off when there's traffic in the lane without charging, really. There's Davison, a nice bull move to the hoop there. You don't always think about the first thing when you're talking about a point guard is how strong they are, but that's definitely a big part of his game.
I'd actually love to see him in the post even more. I think with his size and his strength and his smarts, he'd be really, really effective there. That time they go to him, no one doubles. He's able to take 3 or 4 dribbles. There's going to be a travel.
Austin Schumacher thought he saw an opportunity to attack there against Champion, but he stayed in front of him enough to give him a little problem.
You know, the difference is Andover's struggling to win their one-on-one matchups. They got great spacing. They're getting one-on-one opportunities, but having a hard time going by them.
Away from the ball, we get a hold call there against Andover's Grebner as he was trying to deny Davison position.
I love the effort. You don't want to let Brad catch it down there, but you got to let him. You can't impede his movement. But I love Maple Grove looking to go to Brad in the post.
Pickford launches a 3. That one's short, and then it crawls over the backboard. It'll be Andover ball. Jake Millett coming back in for Andover as they trail it by 8. They've been on a bit of a drought after they caught up to within a couple of Maple Grove.
Well, we said in the pregame, we were wondering how the scoring was going to come from. You see that at 16. They got up to a pretty good start, but have struggled here the last 4 or 5 minutes getting good shots.
Knocked away by Champion as Paul kind of exposed the ball on the way up there. Davison will stop and fire off target. Champion, though, boards it. And they'll get another possession. That one hurts Andover. You force a relatively difficult shot, but then don't secure the rebound.
Nice pass.
Davison to Champion. Perfect pick and roll.
Yeah, that's to perfection, and that's a tricky question. How do you defend Davison in the pick and roll? You can't hesitate. You either double it hard, you got to have defensive rotation. That time they kind of both hedged. And Brad's just too good of a passer, too smart. He's going to know where that weakness is.
And come Saturday, they're hoping Noah Champion is an aptly named Noah Champion for Maple Grove. That's a nice name to have when you're in the tournament. Shot up, no good, no foul either way, and Davison coming out of there with it. Backs his way in, then gives it to Pickford attacking, and that might be a charge, yep. Same as at the other end. Andover was ready and waiting.
Again, I like Brad in the post. That time Pickford, I think the right play would have just settled for the jump shot right there. You can see there's no white jersey in front of him. I think he saw the rim, thought maybe I can get at it, attack it. And a smart play by Andover. I think that was number 44, Jake Mallett, that stood in there and took the charge.
10-point Maple Grove lead, although Andover has succeeded in one way in keeping this a relatively low-scoring game, which is more to their liking.
You know, one thing to watch, too, and I always struggled this when I played in the state tournament, is they use brand-new basketballs, and it's a ball that you're not used to playing with all year long, and you can see
right there.
Certain guys, I always struggle dribbling and getting a grip on it, shooting. It's different. And to kind of see who adapts to it. Some people it doesn't bother. For me, I was always very particular about the ball I had. And
yeah, whether a brand new basketball, let's be honest, is usually pretty slippery until you get some use into it.
Yeah, and I had a couple of good shooting days, but I always struggled because it was a big arena. You weren't used to it. The rims were always different. Obviously, the nervousness, the excitement. But then you threw in that ball, and I was, if you're sweaty, you know, your hands, it always was slick. So it's always interesting to see these guys adapt to that ball, and you can see certain guys struggle dribbling it early on.
Free throw is good there for Davison. Champion gets a hand as he comes out. Bredensteiner back in. Schumacher back into the Andover lineup. Second free throw also good, so 10 points now for Davison, and Maple Grove has stretched the advantage to a dozen.
This is kind of that danger area if you're Andover. You're down 12, just under 3 minutes left. Can you get a couple of stops, a couple of baskets, maybe make this a 6-8 point game? You don't want it to go the other way where you end up going down by 20.
Ooh, Horton called for the foul there. Yeah, but you and I both thought Grebner used that off arm to push off a little bit on the dribble. But instead it'll be on Horton. You see the shot fake gets him a little out of position. I think you got a case there, Bubba.
And sometimes offensive players are the one that creates the contact with that extension.
Rizak lets it fly, no good. Bredensteiner grabs the rebound.
Well, even though he missed that, I like seeing Rizak shoot the ball. He hasn't shot a lot today. He's got such a nice move. And there's Davison with that great pace of play, quick moves, and then the strength to get the contact and to finish it. You can see a nice left to right crossover. And right there, you can just see that he uses that off arm so well. I know a lot of people think he pushes off a little bit, but sometimes he just uses it almost as a bar. And he's so strong, able to get the shot off while taking the contact. A lot of players get fouled, and they throw up a really bad shot. He seems to be able to absorb that contact and to get a good shot and make it a lot.
Coach Ani will use the timeout here on the Andover side as things starting to get away from them a bit here at 15. 31-16 Crimson. Pickford had the hot early start with 9 points now, and Davison has come on, and a couple of nice buckets for Noah Champion coming off the bench as well. I think Maple Grove's done it. The one thing that's pretty good about them is they seem to be able to play fast if they want to, but also it doesn't really phase them too much if it's a more of a slow down game.
Nope, and I think that's a strength of theirs, whereas like Champlin Park, I think if you slow it down, it can, I mean, they're good enough to overcome that a lot of the times, but I think they need to play fast. That's their game. That's when they're at their best. We've seen Maple Grove play fast and score. You know, they beat Apple Valley by scoring over 100 points earlier in the year, and we've seen them win games in the 50s, you know, so I think they can adapt, but I think the key is, and I think Nick Schroeder, you could see it from the beginning of this game, was get our other guys going early, and it opens things up for Brad Davison. You know, he made a comment to me a couple weeks ago. We were talking just about how good Brad is, and he said ever since 4th grade, a lot of times these kids would, you know, when Brad gets it going, they just stand and watch. And you don't want that. You want movement, and you want the defense to have to guard these other players. It opens everything up, makes it easier for him. And you can see offensively, they're in a nice rhythm right now with some pretty good balance.
Andover getting into motion, and interesting, there's a back cut, and the layup is good as they finally break the drought. Kniffley. An interesting thing that Coach Ani said to me today, Ryan, too, was they watched the film of the Maple Grove game, and they said, you know, they talked about what do we do if they put a little run and we get behind it a little ways, and there's Hutchison with the runner, and the answer was we don't change. We have to still be who we are. We can't start firing up shots just because things don't go our way for a little bit.
Well, and the reason is, if you fire up shots that you're not accustomed to shooting and you miss them, a 10-point game can go to a 30-point game just like that. And you can see they've had some success. That back door along the baseline, they've been cutting and moving pretty nicely, and they got such good spacing as Schumacher is able to just drive. If they can win those one-on-one matchups off the dribble, you know, they can score and stay in this game.
13-point lead for the Crimson. Davison switches to the left hand and finishes in traffic.
And that's where I think someone for Andover's got to step in and try to take a charge. You might not get it, but you want to try to discourage him from those kind of plays, because I think that's when he's at his absolute best, when he's hitting the holes hard, and he's so big and strong, uses both hands really well.
Shot up, no good. Davison able to grab the miss as Krebner was forced into a tough one with his offhand, his right hand. Davison leaving it for Bredensteiner right at the edge of the lane, and he knocks down another. He's had a solid start today as well with 7 points for the Crimson, and they are up by 17. Under a half minute to go now in this first half. Schumacher spinning and scoring. His second bucket in a row for Andover. So 37-22, Maple Grove will have time for a last shot here as they get to the front court with a little under 15 to go. Davison obviously going to get them into their play here. No timeout going to be used. Now under 5, Davison will step back, throws it over to Horton for 3, and it's good at the buzzer. Just when you thought maybe Davison had waited too long and they were going to pass up a good shot, he spots Charlie Horton, and he is able to bury it to end the half on a great note for the Crimson, as they will take a 40-22 lead into the locker room at halftime. Perfect execution down in those final seconds here for the Crimson, as they are able to get the job done. The assist to Davison, the bucket for Bubba Horton was his first. Let's go over now to Ryan with Coach Schroeder.
All right, thanks, Jake. Coach, what a great first half. You had to be really impressed with how your team came out and played.
Extremely, I'm very proud of them. Extremely unselfish. We're playing great defense right now. We're doing exactly what we wanted to do. We're running our game plan. We're keeping them out of the lane. I'm really proud of our guys. We played a pretty solid first half.
I always thought, you know, when Brad comes out and he gets other guys going early on, it opens up things for him, and that's kind of exactly what played out there in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's a guy that has to make plays for us, obviously, but there's more than one way to make a play other than just putting it in the basket, and he's doing that. He's finding open guys right now, and he's looking for himself as well. We need him to do both.
Coming to the Target Center first round, a lot of energy, excitement. Two things. One, does it help that you were here last year? And two, does it help playing a team that you're familiar with, that you've seen during the regular season?
Oh, it absolutely helps. We got a good scout on them. We're ready for them. And being here last year really helps us. You know, the lights are bright in here, but they're not as bright as they were last year. So our guys are a little bit more focused. Instead of just being happy to be here, you know, we want to win.
And we noticed, too, that you might be the best dressed coach here so far of the tournament.
Well, I think that's obvious. I think it's obvious.
Good luck in the second half, Coach. Back to you, Jay.
Thank you, Ryan, and thanks to Coach Schroeder for speaking with us. We will be back with more of our coverage of the State 4A Boys Basketball Tournament quarterfinals. Maple Grove 40, Andover 22 at halftime.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes, but with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Welcome back here to the Target Center. Maple Grove leading at 40-22. Andover was hanging with them for a good portion of that first half, but Maple Grove just continued to put points up, whereas Andover really had a drought. We'll look at some first half highlights, starting with a great start for this guy, Tywan Pickford.
Yeah, and I thought that was key. He had those 7 early points, and I think that just softened the defense up. And again, initially Andover came out and they offensively were efficient, hitting shots.
Rubner making that one. There's Davison's first attempt of the game and able to knock it down. Rezak didn't really shoot the ball all that much, and that's a credit to Maple Grove D.
He only took 5 shots. They need him taking 20, 25 shots. If they're going to lose, they got to lose with Rezak leading the way. And there's another jump shot by Pickford. Beautiful pick and roll by Davison to Champion, who gave him 2 big buckets off the bench.
There's the buzzer beater at the end. I really thought Maple Grove had waited too long to get into things, but Horton just released it in time. As you see, Knifley with 6, and Rezak just 5 points for Andover. Davison coming on later in the half with 15, and also Pickford with 9 with that early start. Crimson shot 65% from the floor in that first half.
Yeah, and you just look at the shot attempts too. Andover only 18 field goal attempts. They shot 10 for 18, so they shot well. They just got to get more attempts. 8 turnovers. They got to keep attacking. And again, these first couple minutes, you're down 18, you got nothing to lose. Andover's got to come out, give it everything they got, see if they can make a run to get back into this game.
We'll take a timeout and come back with more of our coverage here of the State Boys Basketball Tournament on CCX Sports. Welcome back to the Target Center. Maple Grove leading Andover 40-22 at halftime. Let's go over to Ryan.
Thanks, Jay. Coach, what'd you tell the kids at halftime?
Well, I told them we can't abandon what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do is have really good possessions and not turn the ball over. We had a few too many turnovers in the first half, and then we got to defend. And when Logan got his second foul, Logan matches up pretty well with, the best we've got to match up with Davison. And when he went off of him, we had a hard time keeping him in front of us and giving up points that way. So,
well, down 18, you got nothing to lose at this point. How big are these first few minutes of the second half?
Well, absolutely. We tell them we got to set the tone right away, and each possession matters. And that's the only way we could do it is one possession at a time.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Jay.
Thank you, Ryan, and thanks, Coach Ani. Obviously, when you're trailing, it's not the most fun thing in the world to stop and visit, but we appreciate it. And Coach Ani's done a nice job with their program and here and getting here. And, they knew coming in this was going to be a challenge. Obviously, they had played Maple Grove late in the regular season and came out on the short end, but they just got to battle back and try and play their game. And here we go, second half. Kniffley with it. Now over to Schumacher. So Andover first possession here of this half, too.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of change. Talking to Coach Ani there, he just said we just got to keep doing what we do. We need good possessions, take time off the clock, try to get good shots.
Rizak off the back iron, no on that one. Hutchison stops and fires, and that three is good. That's his first three of the game.
How fun to be Jack Hutchison. You know, if you run the floor hard, get to your open spot, you're going to get open looks like that. Great find. Davison, in addition to 15 points, had 5 assists in the first half. And just a disheartening, opening part for Andover. They get a missed three, and then they give up a transition three.
Rizak knocks down a long 2 this time, and I think what you said is right. They're going to need him to be putting some points on the board, maybe become a little more selfish even in the second half.
I'm not saying they're going to win if he has a monster second half, but if you're going to lose with your best player taking the shots. And I like so far 2 possessions, 2 shots for Rizak.
They go into Davison here. Rizak is on him. See if he'll try and draw that third foul. He did try. He went up and under, but he got the layup to go.
Well, if you're going to let Brad just pound it and use his size, he's going to score every time. You got to send a second guy, get some kind of help on him. He's just able to, and that's kind of an old man move at the YMCA where you body and you come underneath the arm. Big finish.
Schumacher had a couple nice drives late in the first half, this time cut off. Rizak, oh my, a long three, and it rattles in.
Well, you talk about the NBA three, that was a good 4 or 5 feet beyond the NBA three. Doing his best Steph Curry impersonation, and 3 possessions, 3 shots, 2 makes for him. I love to see Rizak looking for a shot.
Davison at the baseline, out to Bredensteiner from 15. That time not good, rebound by Jacob Paul.
And again, great offense. Brad in the post, double team comes, which is smart by Andover, and Bredensteiner gets a nice open look, and that's a shot he knocks down more often than not.
Yeah, he had one just like it at the other end in the first half that he did make, so foul call there on the drive.
Watch how far out Rizak is. I mean, that's a long three.
Well, and he kind of shoots, I don't want to call it a set shot, but it's easier for him to get the ball that distance because he's not really getting way off the floor and shooting at the top of a long jump. Fires another one. This time he was 2 off balance on the baseline. It's an air ball. Davison pushing it back. Pickford at the bottom of the rim with that one. I think the defender got a little piece of the ball.
He didn't look like he got much lift on his legs on that one, and a little too far out underneath the basket.
Pickford will give it to Davison. He's going to stop and fire that three. It's in and out. Batted around off of Maple Grove. It'll be Andover ball.
I'm not kidding you when I say the rims are tighter at NBA arenas. That's about the 4th or 5th shot we've seen here today that looks like it's the halfway down and then still somehow manages to squirt out.
Maple Grove by 18 here early second half. That was the margin at halftime. Each team has scored 5 points here in half number 2. Rizak off balance, forced that one up a little bit.
I think he thought he got contact and threw it up there.
to Pickford, and it rolls off, but he was fouled as Davison went to Pickford. Good timing on that baseline cut.
You know, when Brad Davison, McKinley Wright, those two come to mind, when they get into the middle of your defense, see how Brad's able to get into the paint. The defense pays so much attention, they collapse, but you got two guards that are great scorers, but they're also smart basketball players, and they're going to make the right pass on that. That's where I almost think to beat Champlin Park, to beat Maple Grove, you got to pick Brad and McKinley up full court or three-quarter court, slow them down. Because when they get that head of steam going and they're able to get into the heart of your defense like that, they're pretty much unguardable, and they make such good decisions with the ball.
Pickford's second free throw crawls over the rim and in. So 46-27 Grove.
Well, how about Rizak with only 5 shot attempts in the first half? I think he's almost matched that here in the second half, and if you're an Andover fan, you'll love to see that.
Knifley bouncing it out top, and they go try and get something going toward the bucket a little bit. Rizak, that time a shot fake. Pickford got his hand on that cross-court pass.
And that's a play where Rizak actually got good positioning down on the block there. I thought he should have just looked for that little pull-up jumper. I'll tell you, I think Maple Grove switching all these screens is kind of throwing Andover out of rhythm too.
Hutchison got a piece of it. Now Davison ahead to Hutchison for the layup.
Well, another assist, long arms. Pickford able to tap that one, and it looked like Hutchison was able to steal that. Nice throw ahead. Again, unselfish play by Davison, getting his teammate an easy layup.
Knifley, good help by Bredensteiner. Then it was tip free, but it wound up right in the hands of Jacob Paul. Right place at the right time for the layup. So 48-29, Maple Grove in command of this one after 2 nail-biters to start the tournament. Champlin Park, a buzzer beater to win against Chaska, and Wayzata holding off Lakeville North in the final seconds.
Well, that's going to set up just a great matchup tomorrow. Champlin Park, Wayzata, you got undefeated Champlin Park. There's a shot missed by Bubba Horton. But Wayzata, you know, they play so well together as a team. They got great guard play. They shoot the ball so well. There's a nice drive and layup for Schumacher. I think that sets up a heck of a semifinal tomorrow, Wayzata versus Champlin Park. Champlin Park's going to have to play better than they did today to get out of that one alive.
Davison whips it down low. Pickford for the layup.
That's such a hard play. You're dribbling to your left, having your head up to see that, and then not only that, but to throw across your body and have some zip on it to get through the lane there, through that traffic. That's a nice pass, big play.
Winner of this game gets the winner of Apple Valley Cretin, which is the 4th quarterfinal round game. Knifley pull-up jumper, and it is good. And Andover started to make some shots. The problem is they're kind of trading baskets at this point, and obviously with this kind of a deficit, that's going to be hard to really chip into it.
Well, they've stayed true to what their game plan was. They've been patient, and they're getting easy jump shots. It's a backdoor looks.
Hutchison unable to get it to go. Horton had his hands on it, but now it is Heath coming up court to Schumacher for the layup.
A little transition there. Really, for the first time all game, we've seen Andover get out and run. They're on a nice little run. They've cut that deficit down to 15.
Nick Schroeder calling a timeout here, not liking exactly what he's seeing, I think, defensively as much as anything.
Well, and Schumacher's come out, and he's played a nice game here tonight. Only averages just over 4 points on the per game on the year. He's got 8 points in this one, and big fella running the floor hard and finishes.
If you're the Huskies here, you want to, you have to take advantage of when you get a chance to run like that. But I think their biggest issue has been at the defensive end, to be honest.
Well, you get the feeling that Maple Grove could get any shot anytime that they want. They've missed a couple here the last few possessions. And that's a problem. If you're able to run your offense and get the shots you want more often than not, you're obviously going to be the winner of this game. But, win or lose, I think Andover at this point, and you see this a lot, teams get down, they trail by a big deficit, and all of a sudden they come out and play with nothing to lose, right? Almost like that pressure's been lifted a little bit. You know, now it's up to Maple Grove. You don't want to be sloppy. You want to keep playing well because you want that momentum carrying over to the next round of the state tournament.
Andover, as we said earlier, 7th seed in their section. They beat Blaine to start the section tournament by 2. And they beat a pretty good Forest Lake team in the championship round game as well. So I think even folks within the Northwest Suburban really probably wouldn't have pegged Andover as the team that would come out of that section. But like we talked about, boy, you do things the right way. Maybe a couple games that went against them and close ones in the regular season now start going your way a little bit. Davis in the drive, no, and he was fouled. And actually it was Millette taking the worst of that one as he got shot in the chops.
Well, that's just a smart offensive player right there, knowing that where he is, knowing if he goes forward, there's going to be contact and it's going to be a foul. So even sometimes when you know you can't get a good shot off, good scorers just know how to draw contact and get to the free throw line.
Free throw is good, and Davison's that player that he's good enough and smart enough that he's greedy in there. He wants to get fouled and make a hoop when he gets in close. That's what his mentality isn't just to I want to score the ball. It's I want to draw a foul also.
Well, and those are big plays because not only, especially when the other team's on a run, Jay, you get to the free throw line, it kind of halts momentum. It slows everything down. You get your defense set. You know, those are little things, but they add up to big plays in games.
Rizak squeezes off a jumper here, no good. Saved by Andover, and it'll come back out here to Grubner.
That's great hustle there.
Mason Heath.
Yeah.
Heath on the drive was fouled by Zion Allen.
Well, Heath deserved that one. He had the great hustle play, keeping that alive, and Mason Heath's got good size. You can see a nice crossover. Took the contact, and I bet he wishes he had that one back. That's a shot he probably could make most of the time.
And bounces around and out. We're going to allow the substitution here as Jacob Paul comes in. And that one bounces off as well. Allen back to Davison. Puts it on the court and is fouled by Rizak.
Well, and again, I think when Brad comes off that ball screen, he's able to go to his right. I think he's almost an unguardable player. And you can see him, he's able to turn that corner and he's going to draw contact, still able to get the shot off.
Actually, it wasn't Rizak, it was Paul that picked up the foul. So,
but if you are going to foul, that's the kind of foul you want, right? Where you make sure they aren't able to get a three-point play opportunity.
Davison's second free throw on the money here, so 53-35 Crimson. Approaching 11 minutes to go. Heath on the drive, that one wildly off the glass. Ahead to Hutchison for the layup, and it's good.
Great run by Hutchison to get in that spot, but you see how that pass led him into the layup? So many times those kind of passes, if they're behind you a little bit, you lose your momentum. Hutchison had to sprint to keep up with that pass that led him right into the layup.
Rizak attacking, and it bounces off. Fight for the rebound. Champion has his hands on it, and ultimately a timeout given to Maple Grove there.
Those are always such tough calls, right? Because does he have possession to give him a timeout? And that time quick timeout call by Coach Nick Schroeder. But watch this throw ahead by Brad here. You can see how that led him right into it. You know, if he has to stop at all to go back and get that, he loses that edge that he's got in that.
And Hutchison at his size isn't, going to be able to finish like right over the top of somebody there too. He's got to get to it quick, and that's what happened.
Needed that angle and that step, and that's a great pass. It's just like a football pass, right? You lead your receiver to the opening. And credit these guys for getting out. They know that if they run and they're in the right spot, that their point guard's going to get them the ball. That's 8 assists on the night for Brad Davison too, to go along with his scoring and rebounding. That's another thing. You think about McKinley Wright and Brad Davison, who we get to cover quite a bit. I mean, they really are close to triple doubles every night, and you could add in steals too. They both, 4 or 5 steals per game, but they're not just scorers, they're basketball players.
Pickford cut off, back out to Davison. His shot will not drop, and rebounded by Kniffley for Andover. Oops, lost the dribble there. Has to save it in, and Pickford first to it. Pickford fouled as he went for the layup.
You see his eyes light up.
They weren't going to give him that dunk there.
Yeah.
The defenders coming back had a head of, they were already running before he turned.
You can see it. I thought this ball, great hustle just to keep this in. But you see, as soon as Pickford gets that, he sees that rim, and he wants to dunk that. And good hustle, good foul too by Andover, make him earn it at the free throw line.
Pickford unable to get it to drop. Iwafata will come in for Maple Grove, and then looks like Bredensteiner would be coming in for the shooter, Pickford, if this one is successful. Second free throw is good, and Bredensteiner does now replace Taiwan Pickford.
Well, this Andover team, they give up 62 points per game. It's the second best defense in the history of their program. So defensively, they've had a great year. The problem is they average 59 points on offense. Maple Grove averages 76. So we wonder just scoring-wise, even if Andover played great defense, would they be able to score to keep up with this Maple Grove team?
Grubner shooting it up for 3, and it's short, and out of bounds it goes. It'll be Crimson basketball. Saw a couple of these teams. We said Northwest Suburban Conference. We saw Osseo, Zach Tyson, and Armstrong's Race Thompson sitting together here in the front row watching this one. A couple of other great players in the Northwest Suburban. Here's Hutchison from the baseline.
Well, and that's a big-time shot. And I'll tell you what, if I'm Nick Schroeder, I'm trying to get Hutchison as many threes as I can in this game just to get him into a rhythm, get used to shooting from the different corners, different angles, because they're going to need him tomorrow night against, either Apple Valley or Cretin-Durham Hall, and then if they were able to advance into the championship. But getting your shooter used to shooting in this environment, that's huge. Nice play call right there and a big-time shot. I think if you think about Maple Grove, if Brad's playing at a high level, if Pickford's doing what he does, and even if you throw in Hutchison or Bubba Horton hitting threes, they could play with anyone, beat anyone, I think, but they need those 3 components in order to do so.
I really feel like Hutchison has regained his confidence. Yep. I saw him a little bit earlier this year, and he's always been known as a great shooter. And sometimes you just get a little bit out of a rhythm, and it felt like that for him. And whereas now he's back to feeling that ball's going to go in pretty much every time he lets it fly.
Well, and it goes back to, too, if he gets involved early, gets a couple shots early, as a shooter, when you don't touch the ball, if you're not getting shots consistently, it's easy to get out of rhythm. And that's why I think Maple Grove made a really nice effort today getting other guys' shots. And it just opened everything up offensively.
Andover's excited to be here, but right now, even your fans, when you're down by this margin, it's hard to stay into the game as much as you were early on.
No, because you come into it, even though you're thinking we're probably, we'd have to play really, really well to win this game. There's always that hope, right? Just like in the NCAA tournament, there's always that hope that Cinderella's going to win, and Andover, if they come out and they play that way, maybe they win this game. But I think at this point, the outcome is pretty well decided, and you just want your kids to enjoy the experience. You want your fans to enjoy the experience, and no matter what, Jay, it beats being in school, I bet, for a lot of these fans.
Dumped inside off of Schumacher's leg, and here comes Davison pushing it back. Over to Bredensteiner, layup's good.
Yeah, nice looking pass, no look pass. Bredensteiner runs right to the rim. And that's where if you're a defense, you got to defend inside out. You'll give up a 3, but you can't, there's a travel, but you can't give up those kind of easy layups.
Well, Heath coming back in, I should say, for Andover here. Davison will walk it into the front court here. Maple Grove is really taking control of this one. Iwafata drive, gives it to Champion. Now Jack Hutchison. Bredensteiner attacking, layup is good. He's into double figures now, RB they call him, and they like him because you love a guy that'll do the little things for you, play D, rebound, stuff like that.
And I think you get excited for guys like that when they score, when they have nights like this. You know, not a big scorer, you know, on the year, just averaging just under 5 points per game and with 11 points. And, you know, nice drive. He's able to do this kind of stuff. He's just not asked to do that. He plays his role. He's a kid where I feel like if he was on another team, he could probably average 12 to 15 points per game. He's got a nice shot. He's athletic. He's tough. And he defends. Like you said, he's exactly the kind of kid you want on your team. No question about it.
And let's be honest, you can't have 5 guys out there at all times who all need the ball. It's probably not going to go well. Rizak makes a pair.
The best teams really at every level, they have roles that are defined. And everyone knows what their purpose is. And obviously some nights guys score that normally don't score, but everyone does their role. Do your job. That was always a big thing when I played in college. And everyone do your job. Whatever your job is, do it, and do it well.
Davison, a little up and under, spinning it up, no good. It comes back to him. Up inside again, no good. Reaches out, gets it back one more time, and looking for the English on that one, not quite able to get it to go.
I think he was just padding his stats. He wants a triple-double. He went into that possession with 7 rebounds, came out of it with about 11. Here's one. I mean, just fighting for it. And this is the one right here. That's where, you know, someone else has got to come up with that. His tenacity for quick hands, too, going after, and he earned this trip to the free throw line, almost made a spectacular shot. And you start wondering, too, at what point does Nick Schroeder think about getting Davison out of the game? You know, you always worry about any type of injury or anything like that. When you got the game in hand, and not only injury, but just being fresh. They play again tomorrow night, so not used to playing back-to-back nights. So you want to make sure you're fresh and ready to go for the next round once you know the game is in doubt.
Schumacher into the lane. Little pull-up jumper is good, as he has done a nice job of taking advantage when there is room in that lane. Obviously, he's not, you know, one of the main guys on the scouting report, so Maple Grove hasn't helped on him as much as they would on some others maybe, and he's taken advantage, to his credit. Yeah, and he's not overly tall, just 6'2", 6'3", but big, strong kid, and you can see he's got good footwork, able to use that strength to get some space and knock down another shot. Out to Horton. And now Brad Davison as we approach 7 minutes to go here in this ball game. Maple Grove running away with it, the number 2 seed. Davison dishing, champion, and missed one in close. Davison takes it away from him and he'll bring it back out. Driving it again, and looks like an offensive foul on Davison. No, that's one of those where you and I were talking earlier in the game when it's so close to the rim like that. Shot was already released. There's the response we get. Yeah, that's frustrating. You make a great play and you get the basket. I've had that happen to me many a times. I think it's only natural, though, that when a team is, you know, has this big of a lead, you probably don't give them the benefit of the doubt as much on calls like that either. Rizak was fouled as he shot that jumper, as Bredensteiner didn't mean to, but got him on the forearm. Well, Rizak's got that quick release where he's kind of dribbling and goes right into his shot. You can see where it's a little unorthodox if you're not used to playing against him or seeing it. You can see why he's so effective at getting those shots off. He's come alive in the second half here, although obviously kind of too little too late for the Huskies. You know, kind of similar, you know, they remind me of the Mounds View team, you know, that we saw play against Champlin Park, and that they kind of slow it down. They're going to try to get a long possession, but they both, you know, Mounds View had a really good, talented scorer as well. They just don't have the firepower to score with some of these great teams. Davison handing it over to Horton as they go into a little bit of a stall here, or motion to spread things out a little bit.
And you can see, I think they want to get the defense extended, open up driving lanes. I think Davison wants to get in that paint drive and kick, try to get teammates some shots right now.
Iwafata is fouled as he drives in, and then to add insult to injury there, the ball landed on the back of Mason Heath's noggin there. Heath called for the foul. So Iwafata a chance to get himself into the scoring column here. And no good on the first one.
Well, Davison right now, his stat line 22 points, Jay, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. He's a rebound and assist shy of a triple-double. Pickford's been on the bench here for a few minutes. You wonder if his afternoon is finished as well.
Iwafata misses a pair, then that pass hits Champion in the leg, and Maple Grove will get the ball right back. Davison splitting a double, goes to Horton, and then back out to Champion. Bredensteiner will pull up on the baseline. That's good.
Now here's the question: is that an assist, Jay? There was one dribble.
I say maybe.
Let's see what the statisticians do. Yeah, they gave him the assist. Now he just needs one more rebound.
And a foul on the reach in there as Andover with the drive.
Again, you can see him spreading it out, driving, kicking. Again, Bredensteiner has had a great game. 13 points, but just efficient too. Hasn't missed many shots.
And Davison and Bredensteiner will check out now from Maple Grove, perhaps for good here. 4:59 to go, maybe, maybe not. Allen comes back in, as does Pickford for the Crimson.
Well, you love these kind of games if you're a coach, because you know Apple Valley and Cretin are watching this game, doing a little scouting. You didn't have to use much, right? You didn't have to show them a lot, or end of game situations. Every coach has a few of those kind of plays that they save for big games, and whereas you got Champlain Park had to use some of their stuff at the end of the game. You saw Lakeville North and Wayzata had to use some of their stuff. So, although you like to be challenged, you'd much rather have a game like this where you can get a nice rhythm, get your guys out, get them rested, and you didn't have to show any of your end of game situational plays.
Rizak was fouled by Allen there on the drive, and free throw is good. Rizak had 18 for 18 from the line in a game this year against Totino Grace, so not too bad. He also had 43 points in a game against Coon Rapids, their school record. And he makes a pair here.
Well, you can tell he can score. I mean, he's got a nice looking shot.
Obviously a little different look when Davison isn't the guy handling it coming up court. You're so used to seeing that possession after possession.
And I'm surprised too that Andover didn't go to this type of a trapping defense at halftime, and just try to change something up, see if they could get Maple Grove out of rhythm, force a turnover.
Horton had it knocked away and taken. And the layup almost fell out, but Grubner gets the layup.
You could tell Pickford was tracking that down. Thought about making a leap at it, trying to get a block, but decided against it.
Into the front court to Pickford. And then across, Iwafata will give it to Allen. They're not really looking to shoot the ball now unless it's a layup.
Yeah, and teams do that too, Jay, and they almost, it takes them out of their rhythm, right? When you're trying, you always want to have a little bit of aggression still at the end, and there's quick hands, turnover, rare turnover, and Grubner able to take it in, and that ball just made it over the rim, able to finish. But watch Pickford coming in. You could tell he was about ready to time that to try to block that from behind, decided to let it go.
Iwafata at the line, free throw is good.
It's always good to get on the board at the target center, knocks down a free throw.
His first point of the day, and one more coming here as Heath comes back in the lineup for Andover. Second one for Iwafata is good, so he goes 2 for 4 this time around. Hutchison checking back in for Iwafata here in a 69-45 Crimson lead. Back out to Rizak. Dumps it inside, a spin move. We get a foul on the Crimson as Jacob Paul went on the attack here. It'll be Allen picking up his 4th. So he's kind of gotten his money's worth in not that many minutes of play. Paul short with that free throw. Coming in for Maple Grove now is Jack Hansen, number 51, will replace Champion. So Hansen getting onto the court for the first time here, the 6'6" senior. And the second one drops. Jacob Paul has 7 points now. Pickford into the front court. And Allen was fouled as he started to drive. Rizak will be called for his 4th. This one's going to slowly trickle to an end here, I have the feeling, with this kind of margin as we go down the stretch. And Allen gets it to bounce in.
Well, he gets on the board too.
And in and out on the second try. Reverse layup won't drop there for Knifley. Then the putback is good for Schumacher.
I've been impressed with Schumacher. He's had a nice game. He's got 12 points. He's got a number of rebounds. He's been good around the rim. Uses that body to get separation. And
Allen to Pickford and had it knocked away, but he was fouled on the way up.
well, nice pass by Allen. Probably could have taken that himself. Wanted to get Pickford. You could tell Pickford was timing his footing up there. Wants to get one of those throwdowns that he's famous for, but quick hands by Andover, and he drew a foul.
Pickford nails that free throw. $14 in the game now for him. And missed the second. He was going to come out if he had made that, so now he gets a little extra time. Rizak on the drive, up off the glass and good.
That's a tough bucket. That's a tough angle. Still able to use the glass there and able to get that one off.
I could see him being tough to beat in horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back out, and Pickford unable to squeeze it, and we'll have some substitutions here now for Maple Grove. Iwafata will come back in for Andover. Peyton Ani, a junior, number 35, and also coming in number 20, Bradley Chasteen. Bradley's dad was a teammate of mine, one of my best friends since 4th grade. So John and Carrie, be proud your boys here in the state tournament.
Pretty cool.
Dump to the edge of the lane here, Jacob Paul. Shot partially blocked there by Hansen. And Iwafata coming up with it. And steps around the defender and scores.
Kind of an awkward finish at the rim, but a nice big step through. And able to get it to fall.
Chasteen with it here and across to Paul. Rizak's going to let it go from a long distance, no good. And then Hansen getting another block there for Maple Grove.
Hansen's got that good length, and you can see there's Andover shooters thinking they're wide open, and Hansen able to close that space down. Pick up a couple of block shots here.
And Max McNellis, an even bigger guy off the bench, coming in now for Maple Grove. Number 41, 6'8", senior. Some more changes here for the Huskies as Matthew Brodeur, number 21, will report in. Also number 30, Colin Hartle. And for the Crimson, Jared Rainey, number 4, coming in. Rainey with the ball right here. You still want, your guys to be able to run your stuff when they come in. Obviously, a lot of these guys don't necessarily play a lot of minutes, but they still practice, and you want them doing the right things when they come in late.
Oh.
Traveling call there against Hansen.
And it's pretty cool for these guys that are getting a chance to play at the Target Center in front of a lot of fans and family and friends and your whole school. And you want to put out a good effort. You want to get a bucket, right? If you get a chance, you want to make the most of your opportunity.
Ian Lim coming into the game here for Maple Grove.
I like this Ian Lim. I've seen him play in a couple of JV games prior to varsity games. He's a very quick guard, got excellent dribbling.
Around to Chasteen. Handed over, Cullen Setring in there. You'll notice him by the hair.
Yeah.
Pass stolen away by Iwafata. Back out here to Rainey. 35 seconds to go in the game. Good hustle by Chasteen, nearly had the steal there. Nate Adams coming in from Maple Grove, number 14. Andover wholesale changes here. Carter. Rainey will pass it in. Rainey with the jumper, it's short. Nate Gunderson up court with it for Andover. Drive into the lane, the little pull-up was a little too strong that time for Brady Garcia. Maple Grove pushing it. And they will not have to take another shot. The Crimson roll to the victory here, 73 to 50. As they looked every bit of a number 2 seed here, Ryan, in this one, and now they're getting ready to play either Creighton or Apple Valley.
Yeah, and don't forget, this game was, 16 to 15 at one point. Andover was winning. And Maple Grove went on that big run there in the middle of the first half and really just never looked back. And total team effort. They had a bunch of players score the basketball tonight. I thought Taiwan Pigford coming out early, looking for his shot, scoring those 7 early points. Brian Brensteiner getting into double figures. Jack Hutchison knocking some threes down. Bubba Horton having a nice all-around game. And, of course, Brad Davison nearly getting a triple-double with 10 assists, 9 rebounds. So this is exactly what you want to do. Come out, shake the demons from last year off. They get this first one under their belt. You see the court, you see the rims, you get all that experience, and you get to come back tomorrow night and probably play a much tougher team, tougher opponent in either Creighton-Durham Hall or Apple Valley.
So local teams go 3 for 3 today. Yeah. Champlain Park, Wayzata, and Maple Grove, 3 of the 4 semifinalists in Class 4A. And Ryan, this is going to be our last game of the winter season here. What a boys basketball season we've had. We say that every year, but this year probably the best we've ever had. 5 or 6 teams have been ranked in the top 10 at times, and not just these 3 that made it this far. It's just been a great year. Thanks for all of your help, and the rest of our guys, Ariel McDonald too, Greg Miller, Bart Iniger, anybody, Khalid Elami, and the others who have helped out as well.
No, it's been a great year. Thanks to our tremendous crew and all our camera people and our truck, and kind of sad to say goodbye to some great players. We've seen Brad Davison for 4 years. We've Theo John and McKinley Wright as well, and it's been a lot of fun covering these guys. And I know in the media we're not supposed to cheer, but I cheer for the teams that we cover. I hope they all come out and play great tomorrow night as well and going forward. So thank you, Jay. Thanks for everyone. Thanks to all our fans, too, that watch us all the time.
And good luck to the folks at Channel 45. Of course, they take over for the semis and the championship. Again, we hope you've enjoyed this one and the other two quarterfinal games from the Target Center here today. For Ryan Iverson and all of our crew, I'm Jay Wilcox. Maple Grove advances with a 73-50 win.